Good. All right. Hey, friends, welcome to my kitchen and another episode of the Story Table. I love bringing you cool people that have interesting things going on, but more importantly, I love having conversations with you that will help you in your daily life. And today's conversation is going to do exactly that. I am visiting with my friend Jenny Smidt. Jenny, I'm just going to read your bio because I'll mess it up otherwise. Are you good with that?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Thank you for being so honest.
All right, here we go. Jeannie Dean Smith is a former Emmy-winning television reporter, having worked for network TV affiliates across the nation. She is currently executive director of Channel Mom Media and Outreach and host of its syndicated radio show and podcast. She also oversees Channel Mom's outreaches to homeless, incarcerated, and struggling single moms. She has a new book out that we're going to talk about today called Mom, You're Amazing. But first, we're just going to catch up a second. So, hey, Jenny.
Hey, Shelly. I was running around the house looking for that bracelet you bought me because I have worn it almost nonstop for the last 3 years. And suddenly it's gone missing. It's the Psalm 107. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Yeah. And so it always gave me comfort on airplanes or when I was stressed out. I just remembered that God was right there on my wrist, and so I love it. And for some reason, you know how you take something off and you're like, I don't remember where I put it anyway. I just want
you put it somewhere on purpose really well at a really good place so that you'll remember where it was and it will be safe and you never remember again.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's me. So Jenny and I met, guys, when I was on Jenny's radio show. I don't remember which book it was with. Do you remember that, Jenny?
It might have been your cooking book, your cookbook.
Okay.
The date, the one that had all the yummy. In fact, for like 4 years, I left your recipe up on our homepage because I some apple strudel something, and you had a great way of weaving in family and God and food all together. So yeah,
Thank you. I think it was. I think it was back in 2015 when Hungry is a Mighty Fine Sauce came out, and that's when we got to know each other. But I want to talk about Jenny. I'm so excited about your book, Jenny. Though we met only online, on air, I guess you would say, on the radio, we have stayed in touch with each other and identify with your heart. Because so there's no one listening, just me and you, so I'll tell you one of the things I love the most. I love that you have no airs. I don't like airs. I don't like pretension, and I just don't see pretension in you, and I think that's why that my heart bonded to yours. So thank you for that. I love authenticity.
Thank you. God humbled me, and that is where I became completely authentic and he humbles you in such a gentle way. But I purposely left the room behind me, which is my 23-year-old son's room, very messy. I thought I'm not going to clean it up just for this. I do not have perfect makeup. I couldn't get my hair straight, and I thought it's okay because every mom needs to know that another mom isn't perfect, because then she can breathe and listen and say, all right, she understands. She understands.
See,
like to be
that's it.
Mom. Yeah.
See, that's it. Because when there is even some idea, because you and I know the chaos of our lives and everything that's going on in daily life, and it's never perfect, but even when there is an idea trying to be put forth that it is, then we immediately set other people up to scrutinize and go, wait, what? I can't get there. But Jenny, you know what? I think they can look at both of us today and go, I pretty much can.
Yeah, they're flawed mamas. Yeah, exactly.
I can get there. All right, so your new book is called Mom, You're Amazing, Changing the World One Life at a Time. I know, as the Channel Mom, which is your brand name, how much you have done in this space for moms over the years. I know this is not a new thing, but it is your first book in this space. Is this right?
It is my very first book. It only took 7 years. So just so you know, this is the cover of the book.
Yay!
Beautiful. Some wonderful cover designer did that. And this is my motivation other than God himself.
Yeah.
These are my babies when they were little.
Oh, hello, babies.
Yes, Otis and Georgia.
Hello, Otis and Georgia.
Yes. Let me just give you a quick background so moms can understand the real place that I do come from.
Okay.
You said I was a TV reporter, and sometimes I listen to that resume and I think that seems so foreign from what I do now. But I TV was my religion. I
Yep.
wasn't following God particularly closely. I mean, I sort of had a vague faith in God, but I wasn't following him particularly closely. I wasn't following Jesus, and TV was my religion. It's what gave me my identity. I thought it was what made me important, gave me self-worth, gave me meaning, all of that, right? I did not have babies yet. After I had our first child, Otis, I feel like my kids' names are really Southern. I think you would appreciate them because you're Otis and
I
Derek.
do. I like Otis. Otis
Yeah,
feels like it came right off of Mayberry. Okay.
yeah, exactly. Yes, except that he was drunk in a jail cell. So let's hope my son doesn't turn out like that. But anyway, I was in that place where I just had made television my religion, and I thought it was what made me important. And I was on a screen back in the day when there were no other screens. There was nothing you could do this with. There
Yeah.
were no, there weren't a billion channels. There were just a few channels. And so you could kind of become an idol to yourself. Because there you were on a screen. People thought you were famous. They wanted your autograph. And after I had our first child, I lost my TV job, and I suddenly realized that I had no purpose or meaning anymore, I thought. And so there I sat there with this little baby thinking, I don't matter anymore. People honored me and they wanted my autograph when I was on television. Nobody honored me or wanted my autograph for being just a mom.
Yeah.
And so what God showed me was, and we still do this, we honor all of the things, all of the celebrity, all of the spotlight stuff, all of the fame, all of the fortune. We honor all that stuff on our screens, and we fail to honor up the women who are raising up his next generation. And that's twisted. It's wrong. And I think all these moms, and I think it's one reason, thank you for clapping. I think what's one reason families in crisis in America, because all these women that become baby carers forers, they just suddenly they have babies. They don't understand how important their role is because it's not an honored role, and people don't speak into it in love and encouragement. You probably do to your daughters or daughters-in-law, but the world doesn't. And so I think they think I'm supposed to be going after the size 2 dress. I'm supposed to be going after the big, nice car, the big, nice house, or the beautiful face, or the 6-figure salary, whatever it is. Now, I guess now it has to be like $1 million salary. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And they just don't breathe into the importance of raising up those children. So,
Jenny, I cannot think of a more appropriate time. You jokingly said it took you 7 years to write this book. I'm going to say for such a time as this. That's what I'm going to say. Because coming out of the pandemic, and you combine that, which, I mean, are we even coming out of it? It depends on who you talk to. But I'm going to say coming out of it, prophetically speaking, out of this pandemic, you combine that and all the pressures of that moms faced with the added pressure that you're talking about of the culture saying, that's just not really enough. So, really make your presence known on social, or at least, that type of pressure. And then if we're talking about the perfect storm, then you have that very culture attacking what believing Christian moms are trying to say to their children. So we've got us a perfect storm here for this book, Mom, You're Amazing. But I know that you have a lot to say to that mom that is worried about what the world is giving her kids, what the messages they're getting, and you want her to know about the God-given influence that she is. Can you speak to that a moment?
I can. And will you do me this favor? I'm a TV girl from the past, so I'm always thinking time. And so how much time do I have? Because I don't want to miss any points. I want to.
Oh, you're so kind. Okay, so we're like, we have probably 15 more minutes on the clock. We're good.
Okay, awesome. So I will use that efficiently.
Okay.
So I believe it's so funny. God woke me up with that verse in a devotion on the day my book was published for such a time as this. And you don't want to take that in a way that's like, all puffed up and, oh, wow, I'm right on time and this is all about me.
Yeah.
No, I want every mom to see me looking at her through the camera and saying, this is not about me. This is about you and the God who wants to call you to your purpose and remind you how important you are. So the mamas I share in this book, they share their stories and their secrets. There are 8 mothering secrets in this book. I start off with my story. They all have incredible stories. 1 or 2 of them are famous moms. You'll recognize and know them. And most of them are anonymous moms. But what I want to say as I start out and talk about the importance of a mom in this day and age is I feel called to say, post-pandemic, when we see all that we're struggling with and all the voices we're competing with, I feel like moms have thrown up their hands and have said, how can I compete with the CDC? How can I compete with the government? How can I compete with the social influencers? How can I compete with any of those voices that are discouraging my children?
Yeah.
Because we know from the surveys that kids are more discouraged than ever before. Even the CDC came out with a report that said close to 50% of teenagers are feeling hopeless.
Right.
And we all know that the suicide rate has gone up, and not drug use, strangely enough. I read the drug use statistic. That hasn't gone up, but suicide rate, depression, anxiety, all of that has gone up. So their mom sits throwing up her hands and saying, how do I compete? How do I compete with this? How do I compete with the social influencers? How do I compete with the government voices?
Right.
How do I compete with all the divided politics vying for my attention? And the mom, I want her to hear me today saying, you reclaim your voice, girl. Now is the time of the mama working with God to reclaim her voice and say, I am your influencer, child, not all of other voices. They do not have your best interests in mind. So I'm here to cheer moms on. If there's anything else about this book I can say, it's a love letter to moms, cheering them on in their purpose, saying, I've got some secrets and some love to share with you, girl, about how important you are as a mama and how you can be the ultimate influencer in your child's life.
Whoa. You know, Jenny, if we didn't say anything else in this interview, I would want that to go to the ends of the earth. What you just articulated there is absolutely just so timely, what moms need to hear, because again, they feel like that they're not being heard, but they are. You're probably aware I also have a podcast that's separate with Chris Howard that's called Rocking It Grand, and it's one of the things, Jenny, we talk about all the time, is that don't let the enemy sell your voice short and convince you that you are not that influence in your children's lives, in your grandchildren's lives. And you're saying exactly that. No, you're not only not irrelevant, you are called to be the greatest influence in your child's life. So this book is about helping the moms know that. You've already told us it's full of secrets or tips, life hacks to do that. Does one in particular come to mind?
Well, I've already shared the first one, which is my secret. I tell my story. The publisher made me tell my story first. I was trying to hold back. He's like, no, you got to tell your story. And mine is to believe that being a mom is incredibly important. And so I've already spoken that over.
Okay.
And I want to speak to this. I think there are moms that feel like they've messed up too much, or our culture says you do not deserve to be the influencer in your child's life. So the school system will say, and my husband's a school superintendent, and I don't think all schools are bad, but the school system will say, we can do it better than the mom, or the government will say, we can do it better than the mom, or the mom will say, I've messed up too much to be that influencer in my child's life. But I will tell you, in the Channel Mom outreach that we do, not only through media, we work with moms in prisons and moms who are coming out of homelessness. And we have seen what God can do with that mama. And if God can rescue a mom from prison and make her an incredible mom and the best voice in her child's life, or if a mom can rescue, or God can rescue a single mom or a mom in homelessness and make her the very best influence in her child's life, he can rescue any mom and make her the very best influence and voice in her child's life. So I just want to speak that to a mom who's feeling insecure about it. And frankly, to our culture who says, oh, no. We need to come in with preschool at an early age because moms can't do this, you know, and moms can do this. So that's my secret, is to believe that your job is incredibly important. I guess I also interviewed, I don't know if anybody knows this name. I think a lot of people will. Gretchen Carlson used to be a Fox News anchor. She was the subject of the movie Bombshell. She seems like she does have it perfect. The room behind her would look perfect. She's been Miss America, for goodness sakes. Yeah. But her secret was, and I want to get it exactly how she said it.
Okay.
Give yourself a break, because no woman has it all. And you look at her and you're like, she's beautiful. She's got a high profile job. She's got millions of dollars. She's got a sports agent husband. She's got beautiful children. She does have it all. And she's like, no, I don't. No, I don't. And she shares some of her struggles. And she's a God-fearing woman. And she talks about how much she has to lean in to the Lord. And people wouldn't necessarily know that because she looks so put together on TV.
Right.
But that's a good thing to remember when you're comparing yourself on the socials, when you feel like you're not measuring up. Just say, even Gretchen Carlson tells me no woman has it all. We don't all have it together.
I love that you bring up that comparison trap because we all know it, and there's been how many books written about it. You know what I love women to know, and I want to make sure I voice it here on this podcast because I'm going to do everything I can to get your message out there. And as it goes, I want them to hear this. You do not conquer the comparison trap and put it in a drawer and check it off. I don't do that anymore. That is a lifestyle of everyday surrendering. And the reason it has to be is because you might think, okay, I'm just not going to do the comparison thing. I'm just going to have my eyes on the good Lord and I'm going to stay in my lane and do what I'm supposed to do. But your enemy will not leave you unassaulted in your lane. So he's going to come every day trying to show you someone else is doing it supposedly better or another example that you need to live up to. And so I always say, do not think that that is a once and done decision because he won't leave you alone. So make sure you're waking up every day, right? Saying, Lord, my eyes are on you first. You first. I will not compare myself with others. Help me lead my family in your ways. And I mean, it's got to be daily. But back to your wonderful book, Mom, You're Amazing. We have some more time here, and I wanted you to kind of move on a little bit further in your book where you tell moms that they are raising people, little people that can grow up to be big people and change the world. So how do you give a mom that perspective, and what tools are you giving her in this book that can help her see that?
Well, I'm going to move to another story to talk about those tools.
I love it.
And this is my little plug. You can get the book in time for Mother's Day as a gift at momyouramazing.com, just so people know, momyouramazing.com. And this is not about me. It's always about you. My prayer is, God, this isn't to lift Jenny up or prosper Jenny. This is to prosper the mom out there. This is to bless the mom out there.
That's right.
Just needs encouragement in these times after all we've been through. And let me tell you, I was bawling this morning because I left my baby girl. I went to visit her to surprise her off in California where she's going to college, and we're besties, and I had to leave her, and I was sobbing this morning, and we were sobbing as we left each other, and I was struggling, and I thought, am I too attached to my daughter? She's 19 years old. And I'm starting to talk like you. When I listen to other people's fabulous accents, I start to kind of do it. So apologies, I'm not Southern, although my grandma was from Georgia, so I do love that. Anyway, other stories in the book that speak to what you're talking about. I interviewed a fabulous woman named Yvonne Pointer, and speaking of daughters, she has a story. So I just want to warn anybody, if one of your children is listening right now, this is a little tough. So I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to move on to her secret to make your point about the influence that we have.
Okay.
She had a 14-year-old daughter. She's a single mom. Her daughter was born, to her as a single mom when she was really young, I think 17 or 18. And, tough life, but she helped her baby girl understand that she needed to hold on to an education and work hard, because then she could bust out of some of the stuff that her mom felt like she needed to bust out of. So she sent her daughter to school. Her daughter that day was going to get her perfect attendance award. She sent her off in the snow. This mom, because she was a single mom, had a couple of jobs. She was delivering papers that day. She happened to be driving through the neighborhood in Cleveland and see that her daughter was cutting through an alley. She scolded her daughter and said, I've told you that's dangerous. Do not cut through alleys. She went on the paper route. She thought about trying to fit her daughter into the car, but she had too many papers. It's going to be brutal when I tell you the end of the story. So the daughter was walking through backyards and alleyways, and she was accosted, and a man raped and killed her at 14 years old. She never got to receive that perfect attendance award. Now, this precious mama, as a mother, made a decision. I'm gonna look for the man who did this, and I'm gonna find him, and I'm gonna make sure my daughter didn't die in vain. God used that time. It took 29 years. Yvonne Pointer, in that time, became a mother to hurting men and hurting boys all across this country and into other countries. She was looking for the killer, but God brought her to prisons looking for a killer, somebody that would confess to her that he was the one. And she ended up ministering to hurting men. Men with, and I'm not saying every criminal gets a pass because he's had a bad background. That's not what I'm saying.
No,
But she
you're not.
began to discover all these hurting men with brutal pasts, moms that gave them drugs, moms that allowed them to be molested, by men, all these horrible things. And because some moms fail, we all fail in some ways, but some moms fail big. So she became a mother to all these men in prison. She would literally say that to them: I'm your new mom now. And they would sob, they would cry, they would repent, they would tell her their stories. She went to Africa and started a school and helped young men there that had no chance until she showed up. And so God sent her to throughout the earth to become an exemplary mom for people who didn't have that mom. And she became a model for her own other two children. She became a mother to Gloria in heaven, showing her how we deal with our pain. And her secret was make a positive difference in response to your pain.
Wow.
That was her secret. And she has made a positive difference as a fill-in mom. She has been a mother to the world. And I think of the impact of a mother. And we all know that George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., a ton of admired leaders said, it was my mom. She brought me to faith in God. She was the one that taught me humility. She was the one that taught me to lead as a servant. They credit their mothers. That is the impact that a mom has. And we see those men and we see those powerful women and we think they're powerful on their own. We forget how God used the mother to impact our world for the way in which a mother raised her baby. Those men, those women that we admire, it's like, there was a mom behind that. And that's what that's who you may be raising. Somebody to bless the world. And I think Yvonne Pointer and the difference she made in the name of her daughter, Gloria, and strong believer. She did it holding the hand of God all the way. She's still in great pain 30 years later.
Yeah.
But she was like, I got to do this.
Okay, so a couple things. I want to interview her. That makes me want to have her on the story table and give her an opportunity to tell her story there. You and I remember when I was doing radio and it was all things Southern, and the Lord pulled me away from that, Jenny, and I believe this is one of the reasons why, so that I could have longer in-depth conversations. I consider the story table just pulling people up around my table and hearing their story, because God heals and moves and works through stories. So I want to hear hers, or give her an opportunity to tell hers that. And then I also want to say, because our God is a win-win God, before I even talk to her, I can be assured that He ministered to her heart, even though she is hurting and will always hurt, that you can't outgive Him. He's a win-win God. You can't do more for Him than He's going to do for you. That is just who our Jesus is. So it excites me to know that even as she was ministering all those time to all those people in all those jails, our Father was ministering to her as well. So I look forward to hearing her explain that. But we have a couple minutes left, and I always like to ask this question of people that are here, because I just may talk too much and you had something you wanted to say, and I want them to get off the air and go, oh, I just wanted to say this or that. So is there something about Mom, You're Amazing, or anything that you want to get in if I would just give you time? I am ceding the floor to you for these last couple minutes.
Thank you. I just want to remind our culture, dads are important, but I didn't write that book. Dads are immensely important. But I do want to remind our culture of the purpose that our God had in the family unit. There's a reason that he gave Mary to Jesus. God was the father, but Mary was the mother, and that was hugely instrumental in the life of Christ. Imagine if she had turned away from that role. Imagine if she had not nurtured him and known who he was. Imagine if she hadn't believed who he was. She helped raise the Savior of the world. Amen. We cannot forget that. And the research, I love how God's truth gets proved over and over again, even if people don't want it to be. So science itself proves what God put in a mother. And I just recently read a study that said that positive parenting, so if you speak into your child's life in the most positive way you know how, and give yourself grace, there are going to be days you're not positive enough, but that completely impacts the well-being of the child. They've proved it again and again and again, that the future of that child is impacted by the voice that the mother speaks over her child. And I want moms not to lose sight of that. I think on a day like today, when I'm in my little middle class house and I'm on my own with my son's messy bed and he's still not in, he's applying to law schools, and I've just left my daughter in a puddle because college is hard. It's not the studies, it's the social, it's the COVID, it's the masks, it's all of it. And I can sometimes feel like, what am I doing? Am I mothering them well? Am I helping? And I think so many moms come from that place. Maybe they're struggling with their weight. Maybe they're struggling with money. Maybe they're struggling with how they look or how their house looks. And I think, throw that all away, because girl, it's your purpose in God, and science proves it. You are such a huge impact, and you get to leave the world a legacy by the way in which you're raising your baby. Even when you fail, because I fail, we all fail. Even when you fail, you're sowing a legacy from God himself into that baby to be a world changer, to be somebody who loves others well, gives to others well, represents Jesus well. What else is there? If you're leaving that, if you're passing that on, wow. You know what I mean? And that is my greatest hope in this life, is that I raise my babies in a way that glorifies God and helps people, because they have learned the love of God to pass on.
Amen. Jenny, you have said so much in a short period of time that my listeners and the people that gather around this table will benefit from. I sincerely thank you. I really have enjoyed visiting with you. We'll have to get back on at another time and talk about all the other things that we want to discuss. But for now, I'm going to remind my listeners that I've been talking to Jeannie, listen to me, Jenny Dean Smidt.
And I want to interrupt you and say thank you. Thank you for the great questions. Thank you for having me on. Thank you for what you do. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I was going to let you give them your website again.
Okay. Sorry.
And that is, no, that's fine. That is
mommyou'reamazing.com for the book, for Mother's Day gifts or whatever, mommyou'reamazing.com. And then if you just need some help or some inspiration, or you want to get into our podcast or our radio show, you just go to channelmom.org, channelmom.org.
Okay, and I'll be putting all those in the show notes, as we like to say, so that people can find you easily. But I just want to speak favor and blessings on your book. May it just fly off the shelves, and may it do what it is your desire. May it encourage moms to be the influencers that they are destined and called to be and empowered to be. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you, Shelley. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.